Tanchikiawao Mara Dishinakashin. Hello everyone, my name is Mara. I am Program Manager at North Island Métis Association. And we are starting a series on YouTube of videos of how to do traditional Métis art forms. And so this video is going to take a look at embroidery and a few of the more common embroidery stitches. There are many stitches, but these are the most common that Métis women would have used. This is what embroidery floss looks like when you purchase it. It is quite thick. You can see how thick this is, and so if you don't separate it, it will make quite large stitches. I have taken one strand about an arm's length and I have separated it in half, so it's about half the size, but you could separate it all the way down to just one thread and it would be very tiny stitches to get more detailed. So I've got about an arm's length. It is single threaded, which means I have a long end and a short end through my embroidery needle. And I have not put a knot at the end, but you could put a triple knot on the end just so that it doesn't pull through your material. But I'm going to show you how to do a triple backstitch, which can be used when you're beading as well. And this is just going to be much more secure than a knot itself. So what you do is you will go on the back of your material and you're going to put your needle in and come back out. And you can see I haven't gone through on the other side. I've just gone through a layer of the material. So you're not going to see this at all. And this is going to make it so that there's not big lumps on the back of your beadwork or embroidery. So it's a triple backstitch because you're going to do this 3 times. So this has gone through once, and I'm going to make sure that that tail doesn't come out. And then I'm going to go back in the same spot that I went in and come out roughly in the same location for 2. And you don't want to pull it too tight this time because that little tail will come out. And then you're going to go through one more time for 3. And now on this one, you can pull it nice and tight. It's not going to go anywhere, and you can't see it on this side. So the first stitch that I'm going to show you how to do is the chain stitch. And so what you're going to do is you're going to come up through your material and pull it all the way through. And you're going to hold the thread off to the left-hand side with your thumb, and you're going to go back down and come up, kind of halfway on either side of where that thread is. Oh. Just going to pull my tail so it doesn't fall out. You don't want to pull it too tight. But now I have formed my first chain, and so then what you're going to do is you're going to go down through the center of that chain, and you're going to come up the same distance apart that you just did. So now I've got my 2 chain stitches, and then I will just keep doing that. You go down in the center of your chain and come up the same distance away. If your stitches are different in length, your chain will not be even. And if you pull them too tight, then the chain will kind of fall flat and you won't see the stitches as nicely. If you were to be following a curve, you would want to make sure that when you're pulling your stitch through, that you're pulling it in the direction that you want your line to go. And this will just keep it nice and straight. And so this would be really good for going around the center of a flower or doing your petals. if you cut the edge of your fabric as well, to round the corners, it won't get caught as often. So I will just do one more to show you. So once again, I'm going down in the center of the chain stitch and coming up the same distance away. Okay, so that is your chain stitch. So then I just go back down on the outside of the last stitch and that'll hold it in place. So that's all there now. The next stitch I will show you is a stem stitch, and this will be good for your vine work, for your flowers. And so I will come up a little ways away with my material and pull it all the way through. And then you are just going to go down through the material and then come back up partway through that stitch. So now you can keep this off to the side, off to the left hand side again, and then you can go in and come up halfway up that stitch and go down and a little ways up that stitch. Make sure to keep your thread on the left hand side so that it doesn't get tangled and your stitch will look the same all the way. The closer you keep your stitches, the smaller they will be. And the more detailed it will look. That one is pretty straightforward. And so now it looks like I've got a little vine here. And in Métis beadwork, it is very common to see mouse tracks. And so the stitch that you can do to replicate the mouse tracks in embroidery is called a French knot. And so what you would do is you would come up through where you want your mouse track to be, and then you're going to do just a really tiny stitch here, just down and back up, and then you're going to wrap the thread around your needle 3 times. 1, 2, oh, it is very blurry. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to pull your needle all the way through and hold that knot in place. And then you'll go back down where you came up. So you can see I've got a little French knot here that looks like the mouse track off the side of the vine. So then you can come back up a little ways away for your next mouse track. And keep a little small stitch where you just go in and come back out really close together. And 1, 2, 3, and hold those loops in place, pull it all the way through, and then go back down through the material where you came up, and there's another French knot. And then I'm going to go off to the other side, so I'll do 2 more because the mouse tracks are the same on both sides. Come up, in and out, close together, loop around 1, 2, 3, and pull the needle all the way through and back down. And the last one, up, in and close together. 1, 2, 3. Hold them in place and pull the needle through. And then back down. So now I've got my little mouse tracks here. And the last stitch that I'm going to show is a satin stitch. And so this stitching is very good for filling in your center of your flower or your petals. All you are going to do is you're going to come up. So if you had your flower or your pattern drawn out, you would be following the line. So this would be on one side of the line, and then this would be my other line. So I would go straight across from one line to the other of where I'm filling it in. And then I'm going to come back up right beside the thread and pull it. So now I've got one stitch, I've just looped one stitch all the way around, so I'm back out again. So now I will put my needle in right beside where the bottom of that stitch is and come back out at the top. And then once again beside the stitching and come back out at the top of the stitching. And you can see that this is filling in a solid line of color. Just like that. So once again, we've got our chain stitch, our stem stitch, our French knot for the mouse tracks, and our satin stitches. And then you can combine those in any order, or you could just pick one stitch that you really like and use that. I have done flowers just with chain stitches and no other stitches being used to create your piece. We do have our brochure on our website. You can check that out at www.nimétis.com for more information on all of these stitches as well as other Métis art forms. Coapa mit din mina. Merci.